In engineering physics, we shall discuss a very interesting component or a field of understanding what is known as quantum mechanics. It's a very interesting and peculiar phenomena. Idea floated by the great man Albert Einstein, and Max Planck worked on that. And in fact, if you clearly understand the idea of Albert Einstein, going back to history and study his theory, till his death, Einstein believed that his theory would be failed in future. But it's not so. If you look at what is mechanics, mechanics is a branch of physics that deals with the study of motion of objects. An object is moving because of force. In that context, force is the cause, we know, and motion of the object, motion is the effect. Now, when you are not focusing on cause and only studying motion only into consideration, then it is kinematics. When you are referring to cause along with motion effect, then it is dynamics. These two are part of kinematics. From there, kinetics has come, of course, from the angle of vehicles and vehicles' motion, etc. Now, if you recollect some of the physical phenomena, interesting features can be understood. For example, we want to know in modern atomic structure, we studied that inside the atom, the subatomic particles, electrons are revolving around the nucleus. How and why? Till now, you are not aware of the reason. Right from childhood, you are taught that electrons are moving in orbits around the nucleus. And then there exist protons, neutrons, and alpha particles in the nucleus. They are conformed by certain principles. And you have also calculated the binding energy. And also we have seen from an excited atom, radiation emits. How and why? These answers need to be found out. And if you recollect your undergraduate level or even high school level modern atomic structure and you study about modern theory of orbital system, starting from Rutherford's planetary model, and if you see the drawbacks, in one of the drawbacks where you studied that electrons are revolving around the nucleus just like planets are revolving around the sun. And when a particle is moving around a bigger object continuously, it goes on losing the energy. And having lost the energy like that, it should come closer and closer to the nucleus and collapse. Then atom should collapse. Naturally, molecules should collapse. When atoms and molecules are collapsed, matter doesn't exist. If the matter doesn't exist, you and I are not there and the entire universe is not there. Therefore, we conclude that the atom is stable. How? We have not tried there and then to know what it is. And another important point you have to recollect from the drawbacks of Rutherford's planetary model of an atom, you might have come across a statement saying that according to classical laws of physics, any object moving around circularly around an object should continuously lose energy and comes closer. And what is that concept called classical physics? That means there is something unclassical physics is there? That is the doubt you have to get. No, that's not the idea. The word classical refers to things that are visible to the naked eye. You can touch the object, you can see the object, you can feel the object. So particles are objects that are visible, they are all called classical. But in the universe, so many other things are there which are not visible. Simply because if it is not visible, you can't say it doesn't exist. For example, electron, have you seen? Nobody has seen. But did you ever get a doubt that without seeing an electron, how the mass of an electron is found to be 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg? And without seeing the electron, how the charge of an electron is calculated as 1.603 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb? Has anybody seen proton? If proton is not seen, or if electron is not seen, if neutron is not seen, then how this theory came? If neutron is not understood correctly, then you should be wondering how fission and fusion can take place. Remember well that neutron is the main component used as a bombarding particle for causing nuclear reactions. Are they there? They are there. Simply because they are not seen, you can't say they are not available. There are other techniques where you can identify the presence of them, though they are not visible. So anything that is not visible is what we use the term quanta. In fact, the word quanta refers to simple question, how much? Quanta means how much. You can quantify, you can measure. Generally in physical terminology, anything measurable is called tangible. Anything immeasurable or not possible to measure is what is known as intangible. For example, electricity. Can you see electricity? No, you can't see electricity. You can see only the effect of electricity through which certain things are functioning, like light is glowing, or fan is rotating, or a mechanical action is taking place. So how do you know what is happening in the subatomic particles? So classical part of physics tells us something. Apart from that, there is another method to know about matter, its composition, subatomic particles, their behavior. All these things have to be understood. It can be understood only in quantum terms. If you take classical mechanics or classical physics, in fact, generally, it deals mainly with the study of motion of fluids and particles. If you look at the history during the 19th century, it was observed that the phenomena on the atomic and subatomic shells do not fit well into the framework of classical physics, and that the explanation requires entirely new principles and new theory. In microscopic worlds, the dynamical variables like energy and momentum did not have the same meaning as in classical dynamics. These variables were found to have a discrete value in particular state of an atom and did not change in continuous manner from one state to the other. So therefore there was a need felt to introduce new concepts that led to the new concept called quantum mechanics. This was successful in giving satisfactory explanation to some of the many observed phenomena and some of the phenomena which were not explained hitherto. So therefore you can say that quantum mechanics is nothing but the theory of atom and nuclear systems. The reason is very simple. If you see generally the definition of physics, physics is basically study of nature. Doesn't mean it is natural science. Nature means it is study of universe. Universe is full of objects. Objects will be moving. Objects may be living and non-living. And as far as physics is concerned, we talk about only non-living things. If you talk about living things, it becomes natural science and biology and zoology. So therefore, when you look at the other branch of mechanics, which is called classical mechanics, it is mainly based on Newton's laws of motion. That is the law of inertia, law of force, law of action-reaction. Of course, the classical mechanics concept explained correctly about the motion of particles like celestial bodies like planets, stars, etc. moving with non-relativistic speed. Non-relativistic speed means comparing the speed of the object with the speed of light, which is found to be speed of the object will be much, much less than the speed of light. So the events are generally continuous or predictable in classical mechanics. Classical mechanics is used to explain most of the phenomena we come across in day-to-day life activities. Also, In a very complex applications like launching satellites and rockets too, the classical mechanics plays a very important role. But classical mechanics cannot explain certain things. It has got certain drawbacks. For example, the inadequacies in classical mechanics, if you see, include classical mechanics could not explain the stability of an atom. Why an atom should be stable? Classical mechanics cannot answer that. Classical mechanics cannot explain why the spectrum of a black body radiation looks like that. Classical mechanics doesn't have an answer. Similarly, classical mechanics could not explain difference of specific heats. That is, they observed an absolute variation in the specific heat of certain metals and gases. Why? Classical mechanics could not explain. Similarly, classical mechanics could not explain the origin of discrete spectra of atoms, because according to classical mechanics, energy changes are always continuous. So these are some drawbacks in classical mechanics. Some of the phenomena in physics could not be explained only using classical mechanics. So therefore, there was a need felt that there requires a paradigm shift. That means an idea, thought, and a different new theoretical concept. That is what is known as quantum mechanics. From there, you will get an idea about the free electron theory, and you can find out the process of predicting the position of an electron. Thereby, you can measure all the values related to subatomic particles. So therefore, that is how the need of quantum mechanics is to be understood. I'll give you another example to understand the necessity of the need or need of quantum concept. For example, when we deal with microscopic particles, that is particles whose dimension is very small or even comparable to very small wavelength, what we call what is known as de Broglie wavelength, then the mechanics of the particles will be governed by quantum theory. So in quantum mechanics, we can never simultaneously determine the position as well as momentum of the particle. So we need to understand the concept of Heisenberg uncertainty principle. So therefore, quantum mechanics is the fundamental theory of nature at a very small scale and low energy of atoms and subatomic particles. Every measured quantity is quantized in quantum mechanics. Suppose a simple way of understanding quantum mechanics is, let me put it this way, without quantum mechanics, there will be no transistor. Imagine. When I say without quantum mechanics, there is no transistor. Imagine without transistor, no advancements, no technology today, and hence no computer, and hence no leisure. So the events are unpredictable in this theory. The development of quantum mechanics took place in two different stages. The first stage is based on Max Planck's hypothesis, according to which radiation is emitted or absorbed in discrete quanta of energy. This theory was a mixture of classical as well as non-classical concepts. Of course, the second stage of quantum mechanics began with 2 points of view. What is called matrix mechanics given by Heisenberg and wave mechanics developed by Schrödinger. So therefore, the complete theory of particles called quantum field theory, it was accepted in 1947. So this background is to be understood to understand something what is known as quantum mechanics. In our learning process, when we looked at light, we come across a situation where we understood that light has got a dual nature. That means light has got a wave nature, light has got a particle nature. Now the question is light a wave or a particle? Let us see how the theoretical concept has come. You have taken for granted that light has got dual nature. Now in quantum mechanics you got an answer to this. Now what will happen if you imagine light as a wave? What will happen if you imagine light as a particle? Is really light a particle ultimately or light is a wave? It is both. Let us see how. Because if you imagine light is propagating in the form of a wave, if you imagine and believe that light is propagating in the form of a wave, only then you can have phenomena and understanding about certain factors like interference, diffraction, polarization, etc. These things you have studied now. So, unless and until you believe and assume that light is propagating as a wave, you can't have an answer to explain interference, diffraction, and polarization. Therefore, the phenomena like interference, diffraction, and polarization are simply based on the assumption that light is propagating as a wave. But if you stick on to the assumption that light is propagating only as a wave, then things like photoelectric effect, Compton effect, they cannot be understood. So, if you want to understand photoelectric effect, Compton effect, etc., that such type of phenomena, wave has no answer. Therefore, you have to consider that as a particle now. So, only when you consider the transmission of light as a particle, then only you can explain photoelectric effect and Compton effect. Similarly, if you can assume that light is propagating as a wave, then only you can explain the phenomena called interference and diffraction and polarization. So therefore, you can't say that light is only having one nature, it is only wave. If you say it is a wave, you can explain certain physical phenomena. If you assume that it is a wave, you have to explain that. On the other hand, if you assume that light is to be a particle, then you can explain such another set of phenomena. So therefore, for understanding the whole physical components and phenomena, you have to understand both wave characteristics and particle characteristics. Both have to be understood to explain the standard phenomena in physics. So let us define particle as well as wave. What is a particle? What is a wave? At the outset, in the beginning of understanding the whole process, let us assume simple definition. When a particle is moving, or group of particles are moving, like this. These are all particles moving. Na? Say for example, we all know that a wave is represented like this. Is it not? Whenever you represent like this, you say it is a wave. Can't you imagine this path as a locus of small particles? Is it not? So this is a resultant of this only. Na? When you represent a wave like this, you can imagine that in this wave small particles are there. So when small particles are represented like this, the locus is like this. Then this wave looks like a resultant of this. Got the idea? Now let me define from this idea. So this is moving. When it is not moving, it is a dot. So you can say a particle is nothing but wave at rest. Remember, a particle is nothing but a wave not moving. That means whenever a wave is at rest, it looks like a particle. On the contrary, when the particle is moving, it looks like a wave. Understood or not? When the wave is not moving, it looks like a particle. When the particles are moving, it looks like a wave. Therefore, we can conclude that wave at rest is a particle, particle in motion is a wave. I am recapping. Wave at rest is a particle, particle in motion is a wave. This is the best way of understanding wave and particle nature. Wave at rest is a particle, particle in motion is a wave. Consider like that. When I say consider like that, do you have to believe? Let us say you said I am not going to believe. So let us understand that if I say that wave at rest is a particle, it should have particle nature, particle characteristics. Similarly, if I say particles in motion can be taken as a wave, does it have wave qualities? If it possesses wave characteristics, then I can say, oh, this is wave. If this, which is defined as a particle, that is wave at rest, ultimately possess all the particle characteristics, then we can say, oh, it's a particle. Let us see. Is it true or not? That is what quantum mechanics help us to understand. Let us say, I want to define particle. Whenever you say a particle, for example, I said it's a particle. Let us say this is a two-dimensional or three-dimensional space. I represented a space as a dot. Does it occupy some space or not? If this is a quantity represented as a dot in a two or a three-dimensional space, it occupied some space now. So therefore, a quantity occupying certain space. Therefore, I can at the outset define a particle is nothing but a quantity occupying some space. Do you agree or not? Yes, we do agree, because when you represent something like a particle like this in a three-dimensional or a two-dimensional space, it occupied some position, it occupied some space. So a quantity occupying certain space I can define as a particle. Fine, very good. When I say a quantity occupying certain space is a particle, naturally it should have some mass. Because if it doesn't, it can't be visible. So this particle which I defined as a quantity occupying certain space has got a mass. This mass has occupied certain space. Right? That means if a certain amount of quantity occupies a certain space, then it becomes a particle. So the particle has a mass. Now, as it is occupying certain space, its position can be easily known. When I say particle is here, and take the coordinates. With the help of coordinates, can I locate the particle or not? Yes, I can locate. That means, if a certain amount of quantity occupies a certain space, then it becomes a particle. And the particle has got a mass. Therefore, because it is occupying a certain space, its position can be identified. Right? So, three things I got. What are they? I got a particle defined. I identified that it has got a mass. And also we come to know that it has a position. Clear? Now, when the moment you say position, position will change with time. Right or not? Fine. Now, when the position of the particle changes with time, what does it mean? Position changing with the time means it has a velocity. Understood or not? So, go back again. Certain amount of quantity occupied a certain space, therefore became a particle. Particle has a mass. Mass occupied space means it has a position. Position changed with time means velocity. So what are the quantities you got now? Position, mass, velocity. When you say mass and velocity, what is the product? When new particle has got a mass and velocity, it has a momentum. The momentum it possesses, then automatically it will have energy. So what are the characteristics I got now? Particle parameters so far I got are nothing but mass, velocity, momentum and energy. What are these things? These items are nothing but parameters of a particle. So particle should possess a mass, velocity, momentum and energy. Clear? Now, let us cut. Particle understood or not? Now, when the particle is moving, this is at rest. Earlier we told that when the particle is in motion, when particles are in motion, you get something like a wave. So we can say wave is nothing but a spread in space. So it is spreading. The particle, when it is spreading in space, you are getting wave, na? So therefore, if in that case, you can say a wave is nothing but spreading of disturbance in the medium. A wave is nothing but spreading of disturbance in the medium. It is moving like a wave. Right? So whenever something moves like a wave, does it have displacement? Yes, it does have displacement, which is nothing but wavelength. Wave will have a wavelength. So you have a crust and a trough. So you have a crust and a trough. Therefore, with that background, you can calculate the amplitude. So wave is moving. That means there is an oscillation. Whenever there is an oscillation, there is a frequency. Whenever there is a frequency, converse if you take, it will have a time period. And there is a crust and a trough, there is a difference of phase here. So what are the terms I have used? When the particle is moving, we call it as a wave. That means wave is taken as a spread of a disturbance in the medium. When a wave is propagating, it automatically will have a wavelength, frequency, amplitude, time period, phase. All these things are automatically coming. Na? These are all the parameters of what? These are all the parameters of a wave. Let us look at the wave. This is what I define. Just carefully look at it. Wave is taken as a disturbance in a medium, and wave is expected to be propagating like this. This propagation, if you carefully observe at a minute level or a macroscopic level, it looks like something like particles in motion. Then wave will have a wavelength, wave will have an amplitude, wave will have a frequency, converse or the opposite or the reciprocal, which is nothing but a time period. Wave has got a phase, wave has got a wave number, and of course, wave, because of this motion, you also have intensity. So if you carefully observe all these terms, like amplitude, displacement or wavelength, time period, frequency, phase, intensity, what are these things? These are all the characteristics of a wave. So wave characteristics are understood or not? So we have seen particle parameters or characteristics as well as wave parameters or wave characteristics. And also we have seen so far how a wave can come from a particle or particle together comprise a wave. Now in that case, in order to explain the phenomena that involves both particle and wave nature, Max Planck has introduced the quantum theory. So it is Planck's quantum theory that is used to understand the dual nature. So according to what is Max Planck's quantum theory? Try to recollect. Planck's quantum theory explained the emission of radiation, that too in the form of something what he termed as photons. Have you heard the word photon or not? Energy packets. Like what? Radiation comes in the energy packet. Recollect lasers, for example. An atom is there in the ground state. Due to some radiation incidenting on it, it got excited. When it got excited, it goes to the higher level of energy orbit. From higher level energy orbit, because the lifetime is very low, it cannot survive for a long time. So it has to emit out the radiation and come back to the ground state. So thus the energy emitting out from an excited atom, when it is losing that atom, photon, from higher energy orbit to lower energy, we say energy packets. Energy packets are nothing but photons, which are nothing but emission of radiation. Photon is a particle. Now we shall see also whether photon is a wave also. So therefore, according to Planck's quantum theory, emission of radiation takes place in the form of what? In the form of photon. Understood or not? The moment we use the word photon, what is the velocity of photon? Is photon what? Photon is a particle. Energy packet is nothing but a particle. Particle should have what? Particle should have a velocity. What type of velocity it has got? Particle is having a mass. Photon, therefore, being a particle, has got a velocity of light and mass. So therefore, you can say photon is nothing but a mass in motion, like a particle. So photon is nothing but a mass in motion. So what is photon now? Photon is a particle, photon is a mass. It has a velocity. So when it has mass and velocity, what it should have? It should have momentum, it should have energy. Therefore, we can say that photon behaves as a particle. So how do you give the energy? Energy of a particle can be given by Einstein's equation. E equal to h nu. How do you give energy? E is equal to h nu. Now till now what you have understood? Till now you have understood that you considered Planck's theory and said that photon is a particle. Particle having mass moving with a velocity of light. With mass and velocity it has a momentum. Momentum means it will have energy. Energy according to Einstein equation, photon energy can be calculated as E equal to h nu. Right or not? Now, what is nu here? H is a Planck's constant. E is the energy. What is nu? Nu is nothing but frequency. Who will have frequency? Frequency will be possessed of a particle in motion. Is it not? Particle should oscillate. When the particle oscillates only, automatically it will have amplitude. With amplitude, it will have a phase. With phase, particle displaces. With displacement, it will have displacement value. Is it not wave now? What the idea or not? Photon is having velocity of light and mass. It is moving, therefore it has momentum and energy. So it is a particle with energy. Energy is given by E equal to h nu. And energy, when is represented as E equal to h nu, nu is the concept related to frequency. Frequency will be there for a body when it is in oscillation. When it is oscillating, it will have an amplitude. With amplitude and oscillation frequency, it will have a phase. When phase, amplitude, oscillation and frequency are there, it will automatically, oscillating body will be in motion. The moment oscillating body is in motion means it will have a displacement. That displacement what you call as a wavelength. So therefore, photon is a wave. Understood or not? So where do we start? We started that photon is a particle. With a particle behavior, we ended up saying photon is a wave. Now you tell me, is photon a particle or a wave? Absolute confusion, huh? Absolutely no need to confuse. Photon is a particle as well as a wave. That is what it means by saying dual nature. Max Planck, through his quantum theory, has given a clear understanding of showing photon both as a particle as well as a wave. Remember that. I am just quickly recapping to conclude this. We have seen the fundamentals of wave and particle just now. Is it not? What are the characteristics of a wave? What are the characteristics of a particle? Particle will occupy some space. Particle will have a position. Particle will have a mass. Position changing with time means particle will have a velocity. With mass and velocity, particle will have momentum and energy. These are the parameters of particle. Similarly, when you look at as a wave, what are the characteristics of a wave? A wave should have a wavelength. Wave should have an amplitude. Wave possesses frequency. Wave will have a time period. Wave has a phase and wave has an intensity. These are the parameters of a wave. Then what I said?